Hi, Dr. Aisha, and random people who might visit my date YouTube channel. I'm just gonna jump into the task. um, the first group project I will be critiquing is Group 4's research. Their topic was on narrative discourse analysis on stories of abusive relationships. So they looked at stories of abused women in domestic violence on a website that encourages victims to get help. So this is a good social issue, something I personally feel strong about. Especially, I love the idea of looking at how the features on the website have enabled readers to get help indirectly. So like that's something I never thought of. This was really good for their second research question, which looked at the discursive features. But the first research question, which looks at the narratives, this one I feel this is where the limitation comes in, because their data are narratives published on a mediated website. So there would have been an editorial board who compiled and curated the arrangement of the stories. So I guess that is the limitation lah. It's not 100% directly from the horse's mouth, that sort of thing. So the alternative approach that could be used for this research, what I think is thematic analysis. So I'm suggesting thematic analysis because when we look at the findings, they seem to have focused on the content or in each stage. So like they actually found like how the what was in the content, or more like how each stage they gave us examples of what the content was like. So they seem to have, I feel like it was more focused towards the content rather than the structure. But the approach they used was actually Laboff's structural approach. So I feel like the first research question, which is on how are the structures presented in the narrative, I feel like the research question doesn't tally with the findings, because in the end we are not told what structural patterns were found, or there would have at least been some patterns since the data consisted of 19 narratives. So I think the thematic analysis would have suited what they were actually doing. Maybe something more, because it's, I think content would have been a better approach if we are looking at how they presented the findings. And okay, so moving on is the second project I would like to critique is Group 5's one on conversation analysis on gossip or female friends in a sitcom. So they looked at a few features in conversation, like turn taking, sequence repair, adjacency pairs, etc. Here also I feel the limitation is that it's not natural occurring data, because the data is actually a sitcom. So sitcom means it's obviously scripted, so it's not raw enough, or it doesn't represent it doesn't represent maybe a more authentic social interaction. But for the alternative approach that could be used for this research, first I was actually thinking of performative analysis, since the data is literally it's a performance, right, the sitcom. But for the topic on gossip, which is a social norm kind of thing, I feel like perhaps we could use an interactional social linguistics approach instead. So why is this approach better suited? I would say that since the data is from sitcom performance, I think interactional social linguistics might be an interesting angle because this approach also looks at body language. And although the dialogues in the sitcom are scripted, the actors are responsible to bring out the characters, to make the acting realistic, right? As realistic as possible through their own body language. So the gestures and all, it's their gestures that actually make the scene real. So I think body language is at least it's semi-planned and not 100% scripted. So at least at an interactional social linguistics approach, we can include this angle, like looking at non-verbal gestures, body language. These things make the script come to life. So mainly because IS involves verbal and semiotic data, so I think this would be more suitable. This is also because the goal in IS looks at overall communication and understands how local social life takes place. So because you're looking at gossip, right? So like how friends are bonding over gossip, and how that is formed, how gossip takes place. So you can use conversational analysis with interactional social linguistics, but I think it will help in triangulating the study. But generally we should have included interactional social linguistics since we are using this data. So that's all from me, and thank you. Have a nice day.